Yo, so we have made it to 2024. We made it. And if you're anything like me, around this time, you're trying to figure out, what are some things that I need to change this year? What are some things that I need to do in order for this year to be different from last year? Now, I started putting a lot of pressure on myself because I was seeing 3 ways on how to jumpstart your year, or I was seeing how to challenge yourself this year with this, or how to challenge yourself with this year with that, right? And I started putting pressure on myself to speed through the proper planning that it takes to actually start a year. So the other day, I was in the kitchen and I started laughing at myself. And the reason why I started laughing is because every year I always revamp I call it like my sticky note wall, inspiration wall, whatever you want to call it. But I always revamp that wall and I take down all the sticky notes from the previous year. Now this year it's crazy. I just thought about this, but this year I actually threw all those sticky notes away. Usually I put those sticky notes in a folder to keep like a document of like a documentary of the stuff I've told myself over the years. I usually put it in like a folder, a 3-ring binder, and I just put it in there. But this year I literally forgot about doing that, which I just thought about like right now. But usually I revamp my wall and I add like some new inspiration on there. And I was in the kitchen the other day and I just started laughing because I was putting pressure on myself for not having that wall at least started yet. Now granted, we was like the second day, the third day into the year, right? Like, why am I stressed out about having this wall done? So it made me think about how when the year starts, we always put pressure on ourselves to plan this, plan that, get this in order, get that in order. Many of us start going to the gym. Many of us start eating healthy. Many of us start doing this and that, right? Which nothing's wrong with those things, but I feel like there's a proper way to plan and there's a proper pace to have when going about the change you want to have in your year. So I told myself, I started laughing in the kitchen because I was just like, why are you tripping right now on the fact that you don't have those things done? And I kind of wanted to encourage all of us that do have aspirations to change, do have aspirations to set goals for this year. I want to encourage you to go by your pace. Like, planning something out takes time. And you have to put everything, all of your energy in to planning those things out. And there's no time frame on planning, right? Like, what you plan now may change in 3 months, right? We may have to revamp the things that we plan. So set those goals, set whatever you need to set so that you can start this year off right. And I got content that I was going to release to start off this year with, but I kind of wanted to start off this way because I felt like this was the proper way to start as I start to launch out with some of the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube. Now, granted, I still don't know fully what I'm doing with my YouTube. I don't know, which goes to my point. Like, sometimes what you plan may change. So I'm just showing up. And what I'm wanting you to do is to show up too. So I don't know if you have some things that you need to show up for. I don't know if you have planning to do. I don't know if you've been putting pressure on yourself to lose the weight or to make the business plan or to do whatever it is, right? I don't know if you've been putting pressure on yourself. And I'm not saying that pressure is bad. Like, pressure is good, but there's a proper way to apply pressure. Because sometimes I believe that all pressure is not good pressure. Some pressure is good and some pressure is bad. And sometimes we're forcing ourselves to change because we want people to see us different. We want people to look at us in a different way. We don't want to show up in the same way we did last year. We don't want people to have the same perceptions that they had last year about us this year. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we're trying to change for people, and changing for people is the wrong way to change. Planning this, that, and the third to show up differently in life for people is the wrong way to adjust your year. So I can say a little bit about like my weight loss journey or whatever, right? But I have a goal that I have for myself, and sometimes that goal was driven by the way people perceive me when I was in elementary school or middle school, right? So I was being driven, my goal, the thing I was going after was being driven by people, which is not always bad. Sometimes you need something to start the flow of the motion of the thing that you want to change, but that cannot be the way that you operate to fuel yourself the whole time. So I told myself this year, like, I don't want to be changing who I am because I want people to see me different. People gonna view you, they gonna think whatever they wanna think, however they wanna think it. People are gonna be people. But at the end of the day, you have to have a true desire on the inside of you on what you want to change, on what you want to do differently, on how you want to show up. And I feel like that's operating from a place that God has intended for you to operate in. Like, if you want to change, ask God what you want to change. What do you want me to change, God? Ask God, how should I show up in this way? How should I show up this year? And something that I've been doing, so I shifted my prayer. And for probably the past, few years, I've been praying prayers, asking God for things, or having a high expectation for things that I want to see in my life. And there's nothing wrong with asking God for things, right? But this year I told myself, like, I want to change the way I pray. I want to start to ask God, like, Lord, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me this year? What are some things that I can do for you this year? The Bible talks about seeking first the kingdom of God, and all of these things will be added unto you. So if you seek first his kingdom, which is seek first the things that matters to him the most, then all of these other things will be added. A lot of times what we're planning, what we're hoping for, is good to do those things, but a lot of times we get so consumed in the things that we're trying to build that we forget about the God that built us. And I don't want to lose God when God is the one that built me, when God is the one that changed me, when God was the one that was there for me when nobody else was there for me. I don't want to be building something without him in mind. And I feel like the more that we start to shift our mind to be more Christ-like, to have the perspective that God would want us to have, then we will start to release ourselves from the pressure that we usually will put on ourselves when we're trying to chase this or chase that. Sometimes chasing this or chasing that is a lot of pressure in itself, right? And like I said before, pressure is good, but why not have pressure with God inside that pressure cooker with you, right? Like, why not have pressure with God with you? Because having pressure without God and having pressure with God is two different things. Whatever I am planning, I want it to be at my pace. I don't want to be consumed with this how to do it quick type of mindset. I want to cook whatever I'm planning or whatever I'm doing at a slow pace, because I would never forget when I started cooking. And I used to tell my mom, why is my food not turning out good? And my mom, she reminded me, and she watched me when I was cooking at home. And she said, Joe, you're cooking too fast. You're cooking way too fast. If you want the meal to turn out good, then you need to cook it slow. So I was like, okay, like maybe what we're cooking, what we're planning, what we're having hopes to do, the things that we want to do with God, maybe if we cook it slow, we'll actually produce the results that we want to produce, right? So what I want to encourage you this year is to move at whatever pace God has called you to move, right? So whatever pace God has set for you, know that he gave you the grace to operate at that pace, right? So as we start this year off, don't forget to release yourself from the pressure that you may be putting on yourself because of you, or you may be putting on yourself because of the world, right? And start to operate and plan at the pace that God has intended for you to. So this year, I don't know what type of videos I'm gonna put out completely. I got a couple topics that I want to talk about, but I just want this YouTube channel to be a place where we can encourage each other, where we can walk with each other, right? Where we can grow with one another, right? So my hope is that in 2024 that you will grow and release that pressure. Yo, welcome back to the channel. This your boy, this Joe, Joseph. Nah, that's not how I want to start. Dang. All right, let's do it again. I'm really trying to get better with this YouTube intro thing, but here we are. Yo, what's going on? I don't want to start this. Let me think.